circle is just simply a circle with a radius of 1. It has each quadrant split up into 3 angles and then the angles on the x and y axis. In radian mode, quadrant 1 is divided into pi over 6, pi over 4, and pi over 3. These angles are equivalent to 30 degrees, 45 degrees, and 60 degrees. All of these angles are being measured from the x-axis. These reference angles are all repeated throughout the circle in the other 3 quadrants as well. If you are trying to measure these angles for sine and cosine, take note that there is a 6 in the denominator for all of the reference angles for 30 degrees, a 4 in the denominator for all the reference angles 45 degrees, and a 3 in the denominator for all of the reference angles 60 degrees. The next step is to understand the patterns in the numerators. In quadrant 1, there is only pi in the numerator. In quadrant 2, the numerator is 1 less than the denominator multiplied by pi. This makes sense because going from 0 to the x-axis in quadrant 2 is equivalent to going from 0 to pi. The numerator is almost the denominator, so it is almost equal to pi. In the third quadrant, the numerator will be one number greater than the denominator multiplied by pi. In quadrant 4, the numerator is 1 less than twice the denominator, which logically makes sense because all the way around the circle is 360 degrees, which is equivalent to 2 pi. The angle is almost at 2 pi. The unit circle has corresponding points with cosine of theta in the x-coordinate and sine of theta in the y-coordinate. Knowing these points can also help determine if tangent of theta is equivalent to 0 or if it is undefined in these points. We can do this because we know that tangent of theta is equivalent to sine of theta over cosine of theta. Both sine and cosine's pi over 4 or 45 degree angle is equal to radical 2 over 2. Sine of pi over 6 is equal to 1/2 and sine of pi over 3 is equal to radical 3 over 2. Cosine is just the opposite. Tangent is slightly different, however. Pi over 6 is equal to radical 3, pi over 4 is equal to 1, and pi over 3 is equal to radical 3 over 3. To determine if the point is positive or negative, use the quick memorizing tool. All students take classes. Say this going counterclockwise. A represents all, S represents sine, T represents tangent, and C represents cosine. The quadrant the letter is in is showing that it is positive in that quadrant.